Hello, I'm Hayley Sparkes and welcome to the latest episode of the Travel Podcast. We've got a really exciting one for you today because I'm joined by a very special guest. We have Sally Jacks here. Sally, you will recognise, she's been on TV for over 20 years. She's been on Heart Radio and she was also part of the reformed Bucks Fizz. So she's travelled all over the world as a singer. So she's travelled with her career and in her personal life, and it's a massive, massive passion for Sally. And on today's episode, we are also going to be talking about our recent trip to Abu Dhabi and Sally's love and passion of the Middle East. She's got loads of tips, tricks to talk about. Sally, welcome to the Travel Podcast.
How are you?
Really well. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
It's lovely to have you here. But for anybody that has missed you on TV, maybe you could just start with a little bit more info about yourself and your career today.
So you talked about the reformed Bucks Fizz, because it was a reformed. It was sort of the late 90s, early noughties. So it was with a lovely gentleman called Mike Nolan, who you all know. And the funny tale is that I did go from Bucks Fizz as being a solo artist. So I travelled around as well with Ministry of Sound and Clubland and things like that. But it was actually Cheryl Baker from Bucks Fizz whilst I was doing radio that told me about the job in television. And so the reason why I've had now 13 long years in telly, because before that it was, kind of dribs and drabs that I was doing, but I've been 13 years in telly now, almost every week, is because of Cheryl Baker from Bucks Fizz.
Wow, so she's really changed the trajectory.
It's her fault that I'm on.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, what an exciting, interesting, fast-paced career, which has taken you all over the world.
It has, and that's why I think I love traveling so much, because I've done it in different areas. I've not just done it with work, but I've also done it personally. And I didn't necessarily really realize how much I'd traveled for such a young girl. I mean, obviously I'm not young now, but I remember at the age of 24 being on a boat coming back from the Maldives, and you know what, you either go on a seaplane or you boat it into your island. And my husband is a little bit older than me. And I remember going back to the mainland to fly home from our trip. And on that trip, we'd done Dubai, Sri Lanka and the Maldives in one trip. And I remember him saying to me, I was 24 years old, and he turned to me and he said, I cannot believe for your age how much you've travelled. He said, you've done so much for somebody so young. And I always remember him saying that to me, and it's kind of stayed with me and almost made it my kind of passion that this is what I will do. So, normal people buy each other kind of presents for birthdays and Christmas, and you will pass a present to somebody. My husband and I don't necessarily like doing that. What we will do is we will buy a holiday, or we will buy a hotel away somewhere, or we will get a cheap city break, and we will, instead of buying a pair of jeans or a pair of shoes or a handbag, my thoughts are I'd much rather buy memories.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And talking of memories, we were lucky enough to go on a trip together recently, just before the end of last year, to Abu Dhabi. And I thought this is a great destination to focus on for this episode of the Travel Podcast, because it's a real hotspot right now, isn't it, for winter sun?
I will tell anybody that's listening to this podcast now, if you do not go to Abu Dhabi or the Middle East in your lifetime, you are missing out massively. It is amazing. And I've been holidaying to the Middle East now for 20 years this year.
Wow.
20 years I've been going. I absolutely love it. It was my first time to Abu Dhabi, but for Dubai, for the Middle East, I've been going for 20 years, almost every year apart from COVID. I flipping love it. And Abu Dhabi was up there with one of the best things I've ever done.
Oh, I completely agree with you. But let's start by talking about some of the myths, because I think when it comes to Abu Dhabi and the Middle East, sometimes people have these outdated worries, don't they, about, oh, well, maybe I can't have a drink over there, or I don't know what I can wear. And let's just bust those myths straight away, because we don't want anyone to be held back from going there, because it's incredible.
I've had some really strange things been said to me. And obviously, I have noticed a change in that 20 years, Hayley. There has been a change. So you can have a drink over there. They don't want you to fall out of clubs drunk and things like that. But of course, nowhere really wants that. When you see it in Ibiza and Benidorm, it's not a nice sight. However, you can drink over there. When it's Ramadan, they do scale it right back, and so that will just be in the homes. So you will just be, if you're in self-accommodation, if you've managed to get hold of alcohol and things like that. But as for clothing, you can go on the beach, you can go in your bikini. They don't expect anybody to be topless, but you can't be topless in America, and that really is a 1980s thing anyway, isn't it? Nobody does that anymore. But for me, it's just respecting the country that you're in. So if you're going in the shopping malls, all I would say is just make sure you're covering up your shoulders, and whatever you're wearing is just below the knee. It's just being respectful, and almost to a degree, a little bit more sophisticated with your dress. You know, instead of wearing your little hot pants and maybe a little bra top like you might do in Ibiza if you're younger, you just cover up a little bit more. That's all I would say. And for me, I haven't found it an issue at all. So, like I said, I've been going for 20 years. I've never once been stopped when I've been there to say, you can't do this, you can't do that. And if you're going to certain destinations where you really do need to cover up, so say, you know, when you and I, when we were in Abu Dhabi, we went to the presidential palace, they will actually give you things to cover up with. Or you can buy them as cheap as chips from a shop that might be nearby. But all I'd say is pack a longer dress, longer skirt, covering your shoulders and covering your head. If anybody's been to Thailand, it's exactly the same if you go into the temples.
Yes. It really is
different.
It's only applicable if you know that you are going to those areas of interest, like the Grand Mosque and places like that, the Presidential Palace. But as you said, what I was so impressed by is the fact that actually they will provide you with a colour coordinated shawl that you borrow during your trip. I had a beautiful purple one to match my outfit, lent to me, which was wonderful. So you cannot go wrong. So even if you get there and you're unpacking your case and you think, oh no, I've forgotten, if you go to visit one of those places, they do have them available to lend you anyway. And it's actually quite a nice experience, isn't it, being dressed?
So you don't have to, you could wear a long skirt and a long shirt and just a scarf around your head. But I decided, because I've got, a few Asian friends, I borrowed one of their abayas and Shayla. I took 2 sets out with me. So I had my photos because, of course, you know, what we do for Instagram and things like that. I wanted some different pictures whilst I was out there. And I loved them, especially when we got out to the desert. I loved dressing up like that. And you went and bought one, didn't you, when we went to the Grand Mosque?
I did. They're really affordable, and I would recommend the whole experience. If you love your cultural experiences, if you love doing something different, it's such a unique, for me, it was such a unique experience to buy the traditional outfit, to have the lady in the shop dress me, to do my headscarf for me. That was part of the whole experience, and it was so lovely. But Abu Dhabi, I would say, is fantastic, Sally, isn't it? Because you can do anything you want there, can't you? You can holiday the way that you want. So if you're looking for that relaxing, beautiful resort where you just want to chill by the pool, you can do it. But if you want adventure, if you want theme parks, if you want to bring the family, there's something for everyone, isn't there?
Yeah, so let's just go back to a solo traveller. It's really lovely and safe. I always feel safe when I'm in the Middle East. So if you're a solo traveller, that's going to be great for you. If you're going as a couple and you don't want any kids, then you can find adult hotels that don't have any children, or you can find those amazing brunches that are absolutely out of this world, and maybe go on those that are just for the adults. And then let's have a look at when you've got children. So there's family packed holidays. I remember one of the very first holidays, Frankie Jack, the first sand that Frankie Jack ever had between his toes was on Jumeirah Beach in Dubai. And he obviously didn't swim in the sea. I was holding him, but you know, he went for a paddle, and you know, and he was only about 8 months old. So it is for everybody, and I just feel that there's an aspect for everybody. So going back to Abu Dhabi, you know, you could go with a really relaxing, beautiful kind of spa-esque kind of resort that does a little bit of brunch and has that saxophonist around the pool, you know, like once a week or whatever, and then you can delve into a little bit of nightlife if you wanted to. But then if you go with a family, you can do lots of different water sports, etc. You know, there's Warner Brothers that we went to, there's the theme parks that you could go to, and there's loads of excursions. And in the Middle East, you'll always find that everything is the biggest in the world, or is the best in the world, or is the most expensive in the world. Not meaning it's expensive for you to experience it, but it will mean it's the most expensive of what they've put together. Does that make sense? So I just think it covers everybody, does the Middle East. And I'm going to actually state on this podcast now that I believe that once you've holidayed in the Middle East, and Abu Dhabi was absolutely sensational, once you've holidayed in the Middle East, when you land in a hotel anywhere else in the world, you might go a bit, it's not the same as Abu Dhabi, is it?
We were talking about that earlier, weren't we? Saying that 5-star in certain destinations, you kind of accept that it's not going to maybe be the 5-star standard that you might expect in the UK. But 5-star in Abu Dhabi, to me, is your 6, your 7-star. It's another level of 5-star. It really is. And you don't get that in a lot of destinations.
No, I don't think I've ever experienced it in any other country, Hayley. I always look on, like, Abu Dhabi and Dubai and the Middle East, whenever I go out there, I always look on it as like you're walking into Harrods everywhere.
Yes. It has that like luxury feel.
Spotless. Your taxis are Mercedes and they don't stink. And they're crisp, and you walk in and everywhere has an amazing aroma about it. That, you know, like when we went to, where did we go? The Shangri-La, and it had that amazing aroma about it. You go out to the pool and there's rolled up towels for you. I mean, it is just crackers. You have to experience it. I say that holidaying somewhere like Abu Dhabi, if you go into some of the hotels that we went in, I always look round and think, this is how the Kardashians live.
It is. You do feel like royalty.
And then I roll back to Burnley.
I go back to Essex. I know the feeling.
It's not the same.
Yeah. It's not the same, and that's why I'm excited that we're sharing this with everyone who hasn't been before.
You have to go. You have to go to experience it. It is insanely brilliant.
And also another great thing is if you are someone that travels but maybe still have to do a little bit of work while you're away, a lot of people are in that boat nowadays. I think the fact that we were saying that in the summer they're 3 hours ahead, in the winter it's 4 because they don't change the clocks like we do. But with that, around a 7-hour-ish flight from London and from the UK, you just don't experience the jet lag. So if you do have to work while you're away, it's so lovely from that point of view.
I've done everything in Dubai, from a day trip to 2 days to 4 days to a week to 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So you can do anything that you want to and anything that you plan to, but it's just, you're so right in what you're saying with the time difference.
Yeah, so Abu Dhabi's great for weekends away.
Absolutely fantastic. So you know when everybody does bottomless brunches now in the UK, I mean I'm not 100% sure, but I'm almost 99% sure that's so nicked from the Middle East. And I'm telling you, nobody does a brunch like Abu Dhabi will do a brunch. If you go out there, you have to book a brunch. You have to experience that amazing intake of food. And whether it's in a special hotel or whether it's by a pool, you just have to experience it. So make sure you Google before you go. That's going to be one of my top tips. And if there's certain places that really are raved about as being the top 5, then make sure you book before you go.
Absolutely. And talking about places to go and things to see, Warner Brothers World, coming from somebody you described as a chicken, because I am such a baby. I hate rides. I'm the opposite of an adrenaline junkie. So on the trip, when we were going to Warner Brothers World, I was looking forward to it, but I thought this is probably not going to be my particular cup of tea. But it was one of my favourite experiences in Abu Dhabi. And if you do, I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Oh,
It was
I didn't know that.
fantastic. Because you don't have to be a thrill seeker, do you? Because it's all about the Warner Brothers world and all the characters that you grew up with, and whether it's Flintstones or Tweety Pie or anything like that. I kind of didn't even piece together with all the Warner Brothers films and Batman and everything. I didn't even realise it all came under a Warner Brothers umbrella, which might sound a silly thing to say, but you don't always associate those characters or films. You don't always think through, oh, it's a Warner Brothers creation. But when you see it all together, you realise what a powerhouse Warner Brothers are. And because it's indoor as well, but with the way that they do the ceiling, it's this beautiful sky. You feel like you're in another world, don't you?
Yeah. Now, I'm a Disney junkie. So for me, anything that I go to that's like that, I absolutely love. I could take or leave rides. I just like seeing I think it's because of my creative head. I love seeing how they put it all together, and like you said, the sky and the colours and the characters. And again, I'm not a massive movie buff like a lot of people are, so I'm the same as you. I might see a character and go, "Oh, is that Warner Brothers World?" I didn't realise, but yeah, I was the same as you. I did go on a few rides, but that was in Ferrari. I did do a few in Warner Brothers, but I did do some in the Ferrari world, which was absolutely exceptional. What I loved is one of the top tips that we got when we were there, because we stayed at the Hilton, didn't we, on Yas Island, and that is brilliant for families because there was so many restaurants, so much to do. That's where all your theme parks are. But if you stayed in that particular hotel, they offered you, there was 4 places where you could visit, and that was Warner Brothers, Ferrari World, it was the water park, and there was one more. And you could have, depending on how many nights that you stayed in that hotel, you got one ticket for the whole family for one of those. So if you stayed, just say you went for 4 nights with all your family, you could do each one of those theme parks and you didn't have to pay. I've never seen that anywhere. I mean, that was phenomenal, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Warner Brothers Hotel as well. You'll get free access to Warner Brothers World, and we visited that hotel, which is, wow, it's like a museum, isn't it, for Warner Brothers, for all of the films, the memorabilia. I'd recommend a stay, or at the very least, see if you can book dinner there or something.
Or you could go to the restaurant. Well, we had a beautiful meal. There was a saxophonist, a singer. It was phenomenal, beautiful surroundings. It wasn't tacky in any way. It was done in a very upmarket, beautiful way. It was the Warner Brothers Hotel. And actually, it's the only one in the world. So you can't stay in one in America. They have built the only one on Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. So if you want to experience that, I mean, the hotel rooms were phenomenal. And the poolside, are you ready for this? Are you ready? If you love your films, the poolside had the biggest TV. I think it was the same size as my house. It was humongous, and you could sit out at night, because obviously it's very warm still at night when you're in Abu Dhabi, and watch a film with your family. And then if you're going and you haven't got children, you could go. Do you remember the bar right at the top?
Yeah.
It had those beautiful beds that were in the pool, and you could get, like silver service. It was phenomenal.
It's so special. It really is. And what did you do, Sally, when we were about to go home and you may have jumped into a certain waterfall?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, I think I was the only one that went out and met the characters. Daffy Duck and... who was the other one that I met? And they were dressed in their bedclothes. So they come down in their bedclothes to meet the kids before they go to bed in reception. So I went and had my picture take on that. That's all on my YouTube, on my channels, and Sally Jack's TV Mom, if you want to go and have a look at it. And then when they have outside the hotel, they have the family, the friends fountain, don't they? And the sofa, which actually I think it was 6 months previous, or the previous year, Gary and I and my son, Frankie Jack, we'd sat on the original in LA on the lot, in Warner Brothers lot. So I was like, I've got to sit on this, and then when everybody's having their pictures taken, I thought, well, it wasn't just me, it was Ali. She was Rosie from Etihad Holidays. She was pushing me. But she was a great girl, and I got into the fountain and run round like the Friends stars did. Of course, I'm not a star, but I got in and ran round it, and I loved it. But I wet my dress through.
So next time you watch the opening scenes in Friends when they're in the water fountain,
I did that.
Picture Sally Jacks hitching up her dress and just kicking around in the water, because it was absolutely fantastic. And yes, we do need to talk about Etihad's holidays, because they were fantastic, weren't they? And let's start with the flight, because we obviously flew with Etihad Airways, and the plane was like a double decker. We got to look round, didn't we? All of the first class, and the super luxury seating, and the booths and the TVs up there, and it was fabulous, wasn't it?
It was amazing. They are, I don't know what flight it was and what the aircraft is called, but they actually have like a room, don't they, that has a lounge, a shower. And it was just something phenomenal if you wanted to. I mean, listen, I'll never be going in there, because I think it's more than my house to pay to fly. But you just can't believe that people actually fly that way. But we actually got into the first class lounge. So I don't normally drink on flights or before flights. Like, that's one of my tips that I'm going to give a little bit later. But because I was experiencing that, we had a little bit of a tipple, didn't we? We had a little bit of glass of champagne and something to eat. But Etihad Holidays treated us so well, didn't they? And Ali was just number one. She was amazing.
I really would strongly recommend, if you're heading to Abu Dhabi, that you
without a shadow of a doubt,
going with Etihad Holidays. They really were phenomenal, and although they're actually separate, Etihad Airways, for me personally, when I go back to Abu Dhabi, I would book through them, because the service was fantastic. It's just another level. Even when you're flying in economy, it feels more special than your average, in my opinion, your average economy flight.
It's not your normal cattle flying. That's what I always say. It's not your normal cattle.
No. So it really was fantastic. So we hope that we have done enough to just whet your appetite. Do consider Abu Dhabi. It is the place to be. So definitely consider it for your next trip. But Sally,
hang on. No, you've got to mention the desert. You cannot.
Oh gosh,
you absolutely. That was the highlight. Yours might have been Warner Brothers. Mine was the desert. It was spectacular on another level. Now, I wouldn't recommend going out there for a week or 2 weeks unless you are somebody that just lies on your back by the pool and doesn't want to move. That's fine. But for me, I'd definitely be going out there. So I'd be doing Abu Dhabi, and I'd be trying to do 2 destinations while I was there. And I'd do 3-4 days out in the Anantara, I think I pronounced this right. Is it Qasr Al Arab?
Qasr Al Sarab.
Qasr Al Sarab. And I would go and have 3 or 4 days there. You can do the excursions where you can do the camel riding out in their own habitats, out in the desert. You can do the jeep thing. You could do archery. You can do horse riding. And then you're seeing those beautiful sunsets and sunrises. And actually, the hotel itself looks like something out of Indiana Jones movie set. But then you walk into absolute top-notch decadence. I've never been anywhere in the world like it, Hayley.
I think I shed a tear when I arrived. Yeah. It was that outstanding. And I truly mean that. And I don't mean this to come across in a boastful way, but in my career as a travel presenter, have been very fortunate to, especially when you're filming travel documentaries, they do take you to the best of the best. But so for something to stand out when I've been able to film in the best of the best is not easy to do, but that was exceptional. And I will never forget that moment walking through those doors and being surrounded by sand dunes because it's so unique. And even if you are a luxury traveller and you think you've seen it all, I would say if you want something that's going to impress you when it's hard to impress you, you've got to experience it.
Do you know what?
Phenomenal.
I think it is sensational for anybody for 3 or 4 days. I definitely do it if you're going to propose. And I definitely do it if it's part of your honeymoon.
Yes.
Without
if
a shadow, or a baby moon.
Maldives, Mauritius, Indian Ocean, a top tip is maybe rather than having perhaps 2 weeks where you're going to have that really kind of beachy break, on your way, stop off in the desert for 2 or 3 nights and break up the holiday. And you can even go out into the desert. They take you out at night on a trip where you can stargaze and the sky, because obviously you're 2.5 hours to even get there. So you're right in the middle of nature. There's no pollution. The sky and the stars that you see is like nothing you probably will have been able to see with the naked eye before. So imagine how romantic that would be.
100% in my head, I will be there again.
Me too. So the question that I was actually going to lead into was, where was your most memorable trip? And this has obviously been one of those memorable ones for you.
I think the desert was possibly the most memorable that I think, and breathtaking, tearful, giving you goosebumps.
Emotions.
Yeah. And because we were obviously we were upgraded to, you know, beautiful rooms. These were like rooms that I see like J-Lo in the Kardashians, and I'm like, this is me from Burnley. What am I doing in this? With my own private pool. You know, and the bathroom was bigger than my lounge at home.
Yeah.
It was like, I couldn't quite, it was outstanding. And I think if you can experience that for 1, 2 or 3 nights, if you can do that on an excursion where you're putting it into something else, or you might be doing Yas Island in Abu Dhabi, I would say you've definitely got to do it. Another place which is complete opposite, and the hotels will never be like what this is like. You won't be able to swing a cat in it. And that is New York. New York always makes me tingle whenever I go there. So I've been to New York quite a bit. I think we've been about 7 or 8 times, always at Christmas time. So it always has that beautiful air about it. And that makes me tingle because it's like you're looking at a movie set everywhere you go. So that's possibly another destination. And again, that's another destination that you would only do for 3 or 4 days. You wouldn't really want to do any longer. I think I'd have been in pain if I had done, because I got shin splints because we walked that far and we did that much. And that was amazing, absolutely amazing. But the hotels, you'll never find anything like Abu Dhabi.
It is out of this world. Let's go back to your childhood, Sally. What were your holidays like growing up?
Right, so I'm from a family of 4. So I'm the third child. So 2 older brothers and a younger sister. And so we didn't have money really to go abroad. And I think really looking back to those days, because it would have been kind of the 80s going into the early 90s, you didn't really go away as much abroad. I mean, I know that the holidays and the package holidays were there, but like there was a girl at school, she was called Julie, and she used to go away for 2 weeks to Spain, and it was like, and she used to come out of school to do it 2 weeks before we broke up. She'd do the same thing every year with her parents, but there was 2 parents and 2 children with them, and I remember us going, oh, they're rich, they're going to Spain. We were Wales. We were a place called Aberdaron in Wales, and we used to go to a farm cottage, and I have to say, some of the best memories ever. And we still now, as adults, still take all the kids back. We don't go to the same farmhouse cottage that we stayed in, but we go back to a place that's very near called Abersock. If anybody knows it, I would highly recommend it. And it's just such a memorable place and such a beautiful place as well. So I've got great memories. And actually, I used to sometimes come back with a better tan than my friends that went abroad, because it's the Lynn Peninsula, so it's known for having extraordinarily beautiful weather. Although since I've been an adult and going there, it always rains. But when I was a kid, it was always sun shining and it was glorious.
It was magical.
So for me, it was beautiful. But I didn't go abroad till I was 12 years old. And the first holiday we went to was a place called Benalmadena, which is on the Costa del Sol. And that was because my auntie had moved out there. So we went and stayed in one of her apartments. And then the year after, we went to a place called Salou. And then from then onwards, I think it was, so then I would have been kind of 14, 15. We went back to Benalmadena, and then we started, and then I started obviously girly holidays. So it was like Tenerife, Playa de las Americas, where you're partying and coming out and all the rats running around everywhere. Which wasn't great, but it was cheapo holidays because you're young, isn't it? And you're trying to get.
And you don't care when you
don't care. You don't care that there's a leak and then there's a saucepan in the living room. All you care about is what your heels look like when you're going out on a night out. But obviously, as you get older, you want the finer things in life, don't you? So I've got great memories of when I was a kid, especially with Wales. They were just superb. But obviously, getting out and seeing more of the world means so much to me. One of my biggest tips that I would give is that if you are booking a holiday, don't be, obviously everybody's got to have their bucket list. Yeah, you've got to have your bucket list, and I've got a bucket list of where I still want to go, and that's fine. But I'm a bit of a bargain hunter, so I will say, and I would state, right, who's got a deal on at the moment? Where am I going to go? So it's almost like you're taking a map and you're going with a pin. Where am I going to go? And that's what I do. So last year,
open-minded.
So last year, I did a fantastic city break in June, and I only went there because it was as cheap as chips. And I went to Stockholm in Sweden, and it was brilliant. And I would highly recommend it. I wouldn't have thought about going there, but I did it because they were a deal.
Yeah, so it's nice to mix your luxury kind of trips that you save up for, you're memorable. I know you've recently done Lapland and the Disney and things like that, where you spend a lot of money, but that's a great tip actually, to if you do have maybe a little bit of cash and you just want to, you know, keep an eye on the special offers and the deals, and of course look on the Wow app. It might just surprise you and take you somewhere, like you said, that you wouldn't have gone otherwise, and I love that.
Oh, that Wow app I'm on every single day, checking out what those deals are going to be.
They're fabulous.
For Christmas, my husband and I have just put money in a pot, and so we will spend that on a trip, and that will be a trip that comes up, or speaking to a travel consultant and saying to them, what deals have you got on at the moment, and having a look what's around, and then we'll go, right, we'll take that one and we'll do that. So I think, you know, but that on the other hand, we always have a family holiday every year, and we've been going for, I think it's about 24 years now, to the same hotel in Marbella. It's actually in Estepona, and we absolutely love it. But you're not seeing the world, because we've seen that, we've done it, but we go for downtime, time with the family. We know all the restaurants that are near. But actually, when I want to see the world, it's going and seeing and pinpointing and going, right, I'm going to go there, I'm going to go there, I'm going to go there. Do you know what I mean? Or just saying to yourself, you know what's the deal that's around at the moment? And be, like you said, be open-minded and have a look what's around.
Yeah, it's great. Just push yourself out of your comfort zone and just experience somewhere. Let it surprise you. I absolutely love that. Now, before I let you go, Sally, we just want to touch on, obviously you're known on TV for your fashion live TV shows, your love of fashion. And for anyone listening like me, I always want to know, like, have you got an airport outfit? Like, how do you like to travel? Because it really varies. Some people dress up, some people dress down. So I always wear like the same kind of sweatshirt on the way out. I don't know why. It's just a little thing that I do. What's your style for airports?
So I've got a couple of tips for traveling. One of them is to always wear flight socks. I don't care how long your flight is, everybody balloons up, and it really helps with that swelling on a flight. So flight socks are imperative. So I never, ever, ever venture on any flight without mine. Secondly, I never drink, because that also makes you swell on a flight. I always take copious amounts of water in if I can, and that's really good for the skin. Thirdly, is that I will always dress as comfortable as possible, but I still want to look smart. I'll never wear heels. I'll always be in a trainer, because I know this sounds really morbid, I think about a situation that if anything was to happen, I need to be as comfortable as anything. And if I'm suited and booted and trussed up like a turkey with a pair of heels on, if I'm stuck in a situation, that's going to make it more difficult. So for me, I'm going to mention a brand here, if you don't mind. I love Susie D joggers. So I travel with those. So I'm always with a pair of joggers, pair of trainers. I have a matching hoodie that goes with it, and then I'll always carry a tote bag that carries a majority of stuff in there. I always carry an extra pashmina with me that can go around my shoulders, because often the blankets that they give you or don't give you if you're on a shorter haul flight, when the air conditioning's coming in, if it's cold, I want to be warm. I always carry my pillow with me, so then even if it's a half-hour flight or an hour flight or an hour and a half, if I want to close my eyes, I can do. I'll often take a bottle of water that I've bought in the airport on with me, so I can jug away at that water, so I'm replenishing and being good for my skin. If you're on a long haul flight, I highly recommend that, because they give you piddly bits of water like this and you're forever asking. And then another thing, and I'm really strange for doing that, and I'm about to put something on my YouTube channel and on my socials about this. You wouldn't have seen me when we're in Abu Dhabi. I don't know whether you saw me with this. So basically, when I get on a flight, I take all my makeup off if I'm on a long haul. So I learnt this from a beautician years ago, because obviously the air and it's circulating and they're not refreshing it. And, you've got your makeup on. If you're a 7-hour flight or 11-hour flight, I remove all my makeup. I cleanse, tone, and moisturize. And I also take one of those packets of a 99p face mask, that you put over you. So I've actually got a picture of myself on the plane with this face mask on. And they were like looking at me as if to say, who the heck are you? And then, so I always do that on long haul flights as well. So that means that when you land, you're not tired because you've been drinking plenty of water. You've also, sorry to say, don't laugh, but a lot of people can suffer with a little bit of bowel problems when they're flying, because it knocks you out of sync. If you're drinking your water, it's keeping everything replenished, so it's keeping you healthy from inside, and also as well, it's good for the skin. So those are my top tips that and also my headphones, because the headphones they give you are always useless, or in a book.
Oh,
that's a long list, isn't it?
Oh, you've made me want to book a flight now. I want to have that experience. I want to take a face mask. That is absolutely fantastic. And finally, tell us, where have you got on your bucket list, or have you got any trips coming up this year you're excited about? Where are you off to next?
So this year we've got a couple of things booked. Obviously we always do Disney every year, so I will be going to Disney in September. We always do the Marbella trip, so we'll be doing that in June. I'm looking forward to that. We'll probably go away in March, but it's going to be a pinpoint of where we go. I'll just take a deal of wherever we're going, because that's my birthday. On my bucket list, I absolutely, there's two things that I've got to definitely tick off, and that's a safari and Australia. I definitely want to do, there's probably more than that, but those are two definite things that I want to do, because I just want to experience that in nature, but I also want to see the other side of the world. And I can't believe I've come to the age that I am now, and I haven't done Australia yet. Oh, there's one more. I also want to go skiing, because I'm a freelancer, self-employed. I've never gone skiing because I've been frightened of breaking my leg and then not being able to work, and that holiday costing me more. But actually going to Lapland in November of 2023 was such an amazing experience. It makes me want to experience going on a skiing trip.
Oh, well, there's loads of variety there, Sally, as well. I know you will make it happen. It's been so lovely to chat with you today on the Travel Podcast, get all your tips, tricks, and your insights into Abu Dhabi as well. Where can people find you? Because you've got a really fabulous YouTube channel, and obviously you're on TV. So where can people find you?
So all my handles are all the same. So it's Sally Jack's TV Mum if you want to follow me, and it's basically all about family life, all about I'll cover stuff on television. I'm very creative, so these things that I do outside my house for Halloween, you'd have to go and have a look at it to understand, and Christmas, and then it's about fashion and travel as well. So it's a whole basically lifestyle. That's what I'm all about.
Oh, fantastic. Well, everyone, I highly recommend go and check Sally out on her socials and YouTube channel. Sally, thank you so much. It's been a brilliant episode. And thank you for listening. I hope you have enjoyed it. Make sure you stay tuned. The next episode will be coming up soon. And of course, if you are looking to travel, then you know what to do. Get in touch with your travel consultant. And if you need to find your nearest travel consultant, just head to the Not Just Travel website, type in your postcode, and you will be given a list of your closest travel consultants who are ready and waiting to help you find your dream destination. And as we mentioned in this week's episode, do not forget to download the Wow Travel app. You've got new offers coming up every week, whether it's cruise or land offers, negotiated deals. I would highly recommend the Wow app. So I've been Hayley Sparkes, and this is the Travel Podcast. I will see you in the next episode.